You're listening to Viking Radio, coming to you from Dream Street Studios at Del Mar College.
Hello, I'm your host, Dr. Natalie Chapa. Good morning, Coastal Bend. Dr. Natalie Chapa here, and I want to welcome our guest this morning. We have Mr. Brady Ballard with the Corpus Christi Hooks.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brady. And then we have our very own Del Mar College, Jason Houlihan, our Executive Director of Marketing and Events.
Yeah, good morning, Natalie.
Good morning. Welcome, guys. So we're going to kickstart this, and I'm going to ask you a random question right off the bat. If you could be anything in this world, if you could have been anything, no holds barred, what would you have been?
Ill-prepared for a wide-ranging question
First
like that.
thing in the morning,
Yeah.
I told you, Brady, we were going to get right to it. But I couldn't tell you what I was going to ask you.
Well, this is true. We all grow up wanting to, well, if you're in sports, you probably grow up wanting to be a professional athlete of some kind. I think now in older age, you see the pros and cons of some of that and realize it's not all that it's
I was wondering
cracked up
if
to
you
be,
were going to
but-
go professional athlete.
Yeah, it's at this point, it would have been fun to at least have a try at it.
Yeah. Baseball?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
European basketball, for some reason, stands out. Just travel the world a little bit, not the pressures of NBA, but, enjoy the other side of the pond and
Yeah, I like that.
play some basketball a little bit.
Yeah.
That would have been fun, too.
European basketball player, Brady Ballard. In the next life. I roll from your wife.
6'9", 6'10", just give me that growth spurt that never came. Just stopped at 6'1", but yeah.
All right, that's a good one. Jason, you had more time to think about it.
Yeah, I'm going to go totally opposite of Brady. I'm going to go metal musician.
Yes.
Dark, dingy bars all over America. Perfect.
Solid.
Now, fun fact, you are a metal musician.
I still do play on occasion, but
Yes.
less and less as I get closer to 40.
Yeah. That's the pros and cons, right, of the dream life. And as you get older, you start to realize.
Maybe not as much of a dream anymore.
A little less metal, a little more mellow, and
Yeah.
turn it down a bit.
So thanks for being here. We talked a few weeks ago. We had a great conversation with Del Mar College and Visit Corpus Christi, the Hooks, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, about some really great opportunities that could possibly come our way here at Corpus Christi in regarding sports facilities, bringing in sports teams. So Brady and Jason, I just kind of wanted to pick your brains today because I know there's a lot of opportunity and challenges. And so just to kind of see from your perspective what you feel is going on in the community and what are kind of your hopes and dreams. Because Brady, I've heard you've got some dreams here. You see some potential.
Yeah, I just got to hit the lottery and I can try to make it happen myself. But in turn, I got, looking at others a bit. But yeah, coming from other markets, some of those smaller markets as well, to what Corpus Christi and the Coastal Bend region has to offer. I mean, this area, it has the want, it has the spirit behind sports and what it helps facilitate for young people to, either if it's going on to play sports or just moving on to other things. But we just simply don't have the facilities. It's widely acknowledged, I think, that they're just poor. And they are not what so many other places have been progressive in their actions to go off and do. There are small towns in the Midwest that have 8 and 12 field, full turf facilities that draw in tourism, that draw in hotel room nights weekend after weekend, and are multi-sport in their fashion. And they are a quarter in size of what the Coastal Bend region is. And, the big thing here is also having water. It's a tourist destination on top of that. Florida, it's up and down each coast. You can get to either side in 2.5 hours. And you don't have that in Texas. So to me, always the competition is less. And we just got to take that bigger leap. But in the time I've been in the market, I think those steps, sports facilities and or otherwise, are the things that have always fallen short.
Do you feel like the Astros came in with the Corpus Christi Hooks because of that passion and possibility years ago? What's it been now about?
It's been 20 plus
20
years.
years?
Yeah, 21 years. We celebrated 20th season last year. Yeah,
And I know you weren't here yet, but
Correct.
I hadn't really thought about it. But there's a potential here and a passion for the sport.
Yeah, the Ryan Sanders group saw the opportunity of what Corpus Christi could offer, and that was big then to have Nolan Ryan come in and help get the approval of the stadium over the finish line, and I think make Whataburger Field in a sense kind of an anchor for things that put Corpus Christi on a map more than people probably realize.
Right.
I think the brand and the city name is out there, across 50 states and beyond, a lot more than people realize just through Corpus Christi Hooks merchandise, and so now social media, which didn't exist 20 years ago too. But it's a big piece of the city's identity, and the missing part is now facilitating the youth, because there's a ton of talent that comes out of here. And back to the facility side, to make people want to come here to do it, I think they do want to, but until it's the right experience, that'll be the holdup.
Jason, I know we have been talking a lot about all the great possibilities here in the Coastal Bend, and you've been doing some research out there in terms of higher education and community colleges, right?
Yeah, and I'll kind of tie to what Brady said. South Texas, I grew up really around this area, and it's a big baseball, softball community.
Right.
I mean, you live in London. London's a powerhouse. Orange Grove, where you
Orange
come
Grove
from.
Bulldogs.
Yeah, my dad's from there too.
That's right. Go Dogs,
They're
Mr.
big time,
Houlihan.
kind of getting big time now with competing at the state level. So there's a lot of programs like that all over the area. And so I've traveled to a few community colleges that have really leveraged that talent.
Okay.
And believe it or not, our South Texas, talent is going to Alvin Community College, like up in the Houston area, or maybe they're going to Tyler Junior College all the way up in Tyler, Texas. And so Blinn is a big player. San Jack is a big player. And those are all, community
Galveston
colleges.
College, right?
Galveston College too. So we have a really big, I think 33 of the 50 community colleges in our state compete in athletics. Most of them have softball and baseball programs is attached to that. So we're exploring as a college just what that would look like for us, because we need more student life, we need community. And to me, the biggest thing, I look back at my theology background, and identity and community and belonging, those are all like fundamental human things. So why do we play sports? Hopefully you hit the dream, right? The lottery, like Brady said,
Brady.
and you get to
Come
go play,
on.
some D1 athletics. But a lot of students are starting at, community colleges, because that's a way for them to enter into the transfer portal and get to whatever their dream school is, or just to compete, just to be able to get the reps and to continue whatever they did in high school.
Youth sports has changed so much. And for all of our parents and grandparents listening out there, if you have a kiddo over the age of 8 years old, there is a possibility that you're involved in some type of select team, some type of select sport. You're traveling to Dallas, to Houston, San Antonio constantly, whether it's female sports, male sports, indoor, outdoor. So a lot of other communities have invested. Brady, you mentioned that there's some smaller communities that have invested significantly in sports. What have you seen out there across the country in terms of that?
Yeah, home area for me is Illinois. Okay. And Springfield, Illinois, for example, has a Shields. It's a major retailer in the Dick's category, but large scale. But they literally on the land, I think that either they own or is it just immediately adjacent to them, have opened up. I think it's a 12-field multi-use type facility, and the largest indoor, call it air inflated bubble. I think it's 180,000 square feet.
Okay.
They just inflated. That's fully turf. We've got relatives up that way, and they've done cheer tournaments, wrestling tournaments, and then there's the soccer, baseball.
And that's
anything
just
you would do on
one
turf.
facility.
That's just one facility, but it's anchored now. It's got 2 hotels that have gone up there. Of course, there's restaurants, there's a healthcare clinic, and conversations we've had, there's anchor pieces that feed into what can be a multi-use sports facility, and those type of things. Can facilitate community events too that kind of go outside the parameters of sport when you have that much, because it's built to have parking and restrooms and all the other things that go with that. I hate to use the term quality of life element, but when you can perfectly find in a perfect scenario that hybrid of private, public often, because you don't want something to just be a destination where then the quote unquote locals don't get access to it.
Right.
That's not the goal when you're going to probably use a portion of the funding locally to help that come about. But there are examples. Springfield, as I mentioned, Marion, Illinois, where I grew up down south, there's a mega sports facility too. All their fields are basically large and rectangular. You can go corner to corner baseball, and you can do lacrosse and soccer and field hockey and all that, just going end to end in that format. So,
and I do love the quality of life. So when we moved here to Corpus Christi, my family and I, my boys were 4 and 1. And one of their first memories, they still remember being out at the hooks. You know, I spent countless hours as a parent at the playscape. And, I'd make my husband say, I'd be like, can you just take me to one game without the kids? I would like to sit and have a beer and a hot dog and watch the game, one game out of the season. But it really was a quality of life thing. You know, you had littles, you could go, you could have fun. It was a safe environment. And it does make a big difference.
It does. And some people in the community roll their eyes at that term, quality of life. You know, quality of life, you're not going to throw $50 million at or whatever it is to build some of these facilities. But having been from somewhere else and seen it, and literally just been back in the Midwest and St. Louis, Chicago area in the last month, both, the parks, the walking trails, the little workout areas. I mean, it's a place that as we continue to want to grow in our industry and our commerce as a whole, you got to make it a place that people want to live. And to take away, what, as you mentioned, what sports has become at a young age is kind of relentless. You're not serious about it unless you're a part of a team or a group and you're traveling all the time, and committing to it 4 to 6 days a week. But we have the opportunity to make this a home for all that versus forcing them to travel to San Antonio every weekend and other places. And the opportunity's there. We haven't missed the boat, I don't believe, at all. Because, again, our advantage here in South Texas is the destination side of it. You know, we're staring at a bay and an opportunity to mix in what feels like a vacation on top of that. But, yeah, action's definitely sooner than later, because at some point that ship will pass.
I think this is a good conversation. So a few weeks ago, we heard Gabe Guetta speak at I believe is the West Side Business Association, and he was talking about, you know, we have so many challenges right now going on in the city. However, we can't stop talking and thinking about opportunity, right? We have to keep moving. And so for our audience out there, you know, again, we know there's a lot going on here in the city. And sometimes, you know, there's that a lot of negative and crisis-like conversation happening, right? Because we're facing some tough times. But there's also some really great possibilities that are still happening. We'll be right back.
This is where you want to be. To dream, to grow, to graduate and succeed. This is Oso Creek Campus at Del Mar College, home to core classes and signature programs with cutting-edge labs and state-of-the-art facilities. This is a place of innovation, transformation, and support. This is your time, your future. This is where you belong. Learn more at dmcdreams.com.
So, speaking of, we are with Brady Ballard, General Manager of the Corpus Christi Hooks, and Mr. Jason Houlihan, Executive Director of Marketing and Events at Del Mar College. Brady, how are things going with the Hooks?
Solid. We're off to, first 2 months in, 20-odd home games, I want to say. And the weather that we very much need is just kind of had a few effects on our Fridays and Saturdays. Yeah, my staff has joked, a few more tarp pulls than what they've ever encountered. Coming from Florida State League myself, I've seen many. I think I've joked with them. I've had 9 tarp pulls in a day and 70 across the season.
You're like, y'all, this is nothing. Come on.
A little bit. I thought I'd gotten away from it after coming here a few years back. But, it's much needed. And but no, the season is good. The Astros affiliation, we've had a lot of rehabs. That's kind of been fun. Mm-hmm. Not for the Astros when the team is not whole.
But bringing somebody in to kind of work out with the team.
Yeah, and to see Jeremy Pena and Hunter Brown and Josh Hader. I mean, guys that are established big leaguers with a lot of accolades. That's one of the perks of minor league baseball is to see those guys come back. In some cases, they came up through here as, young 19, 20-year-olds. But in that intimate setting of Whataburger Field and the backdrop that we have and everything, it's a cool experience.
Let's talk about the backdrop. Wow. I mean, so I know we always talk about all the possibilities, but then let's talk about what we already have. I mean, I love sitting at Whataburger Field and just looking out. It is one of my favorite things to do here in the city.
Yeah, with the bridge now. I was coming over the bridge the other day when you guys were doing the fireworks on Friday. I think it was right after graduation.
Oh, yeah.
It was right after our commencement ceremony, and it was gorgeous, just gorgeous. Finally, now that the other bridge is down, you have this really clear view from the back of the convention center to watch the fireworks right afterwards. So it was like a perfect ending of our commencement ceremony.
It really was.
To watch that right after we walked out with all the staff and left. Incredible.
Yeah, we've had some fun images as of late with the photos that I've seen, but it was kind of bomb pop colored this weekend with the red, white, and blue. But
that's right.
Sunday fireworks for us, a big Memorial Day Sunday game that we always do is the Blue Ghosts, and a couple military ships that actually pass by, and those are seemingly some of the largest that roll right through the ship channel.
Cool.
Look like a moving wall, and all that came in just aligned one after another simultaneously, and it really was a cool vibe.
Jason, you talked about our graduation just now. Let's do a little brag, Del Mar College brag point. On that, I'll let you take it.
Record graduation for Del Mar College. So we had over 900 participating in the ceremony, but way more than that got credentials that just didn't elect to come and participate with us at Hilliard Center. But it was an incredible environment. We did streamers. We did some cold sparks.
Pyro.
If you know me from Del Mar, I always mention cold sparks. I'm like, cold sparks just popping out everywhere.
They looked so awesome.
It was really an incredible atmosphere. And I think I've done 19 now commencement ceremonies at Del Mar College, which, wow, I didn't think I would do 19. Even the way back in the COVID days, the live streamed ones.
Oh, yeah.
So glad that's over. But this was really a high watermark for me to see that and kind of thinking about how all this stuff kind of ties to getting people to that finish line of whatever they started.
You talked a lot about, we talked about quality of life and the importance of that. But Jason, you brought up the theology part of just the sense of belonging, right? Just as a human. And so, Brady, what we've learned here in higher education is if you feel like you belong here, if we can make you feel like you belong, that you should be here, then it makes you want to stay. Yeah. It makes you want to finish. And for us, we're in the business of getting our students to complete. And so I do think that a sense of belonging would be really great, but also for our community. You know, Texas A&M Corpus Christi has done a really great job, right, of creating basically a brand new college, right, in the past 25 years with their with all of their new traditions and the lays at graduation and their customs. They're doing some really great things, but we don't have that huge sports team. We have the Corpus Christi Hooks, and then we have Texas A&M Corpus that kind of anchor us, right? But because of our size, we do have the opportunity to kind of make this more of a community impact. So, Brady, if we added sports facilities, if we brought things up into the community, if Del Mar College came into the arena, what would that do for the Hooks? What do you think that does for the community as a whole, and then for the Corpus Christi Hooks?
I think it builds that spirit all the more, and you touched on it already with the schools. I mean, to me, this was what I like about the area is that Midwest feel almost, because the pride of even the high school levels. You know,
it's big.
You know,
last night.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Our Coastal Bend Hall of Fame event and recognizing those. But yeah, there's just a pride throughout from the small town aspect, and that's what resonates with me from what I grew up with. But it is something that I think would lift entirely. I mean, we have great partnerships with A&M Corpus Christi, for example. They bring in some major universities to play at Whataburger Field every year, and Coach Malone has made no bones. Like that's a selling point to bring Pittsburgh. We had UCLA the year before.
Clayburgh Classic.
The Clayburgh Classic
so fun.
is, it's a kickoff, and to get UCLA, who's number one in the nation this year, and the Islanders knocked them off last year. Not anything that I don't think UCLA had planned.
Right.
But, Michigan States and Power Fours of the world to come down into Corpus Christi and see what we have to offer. So just having the facility, I know, and they've told me firsthand, has helped, parts of that aspect of
Sure.
who they are. And to have that rise up, perhaps other schools and opportunities, that's where we'd want to tie those together.
And then you mentioned earlier the intimate setting, right, of the Hooks field. And then so for our kiddos here in the Coastal Bend to be able to see those teams is pretty amazing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, just to get eyes on what, yes, every parent and every kid wants to go on and play at a next level type.
Sure.
But even so, I've had people tell me direct, like them playing at a high school level at Whataburger Field
that's
25 years
significant.
ago. It's
Yes.
a highlight of, their personal life,
Yeah.
not just their sporting life still. So it's cool that we have such a facility that means a lot. I think everybody would tell you they've been to Whataburger Field, whether that was for a sporting event or any other activities we do. It is a center point, and should other programs and opportunities continue to rise, including tournaments, because we've had championship games from some of these tournaments already at the facility too. So it kind of becomes hopefully the cherry on top. But we can get a bigger piece of the pie to get to that point with more facilities. And that's not limited to just the field sports too. I mean, we've had events that are ceremonious, and that could be done if it was basketball and volleyball and other indoor sports and things as well.
And I think for our audience out there, the money that comes in from tourism, and Visit Corpus Christi is a guest on the show, and Brooke Kaufman, our CEO, talked about that when a tourist comes in and spends money in our restaurants, stays at the hotels, that hotel occupancy tax comes back to the city of Corpus Christi. And so I think sometimes it can be a little challenging for people who are like, oh, all these visitors and we're limited on water and resources. But there's actually some really great things that come back to the city, right, when we have our visitors coming in. Jason, do you want to talk a little bit about maybe some challenges that might come up in the area in terms of bringing in sports and facilities? What are you seeing or hearing out there?
Well, that's a really complex question, Natalie. I would say that a lot of it...
I gave it to you on purpose. I'm watching you sweat.
Yeah, a little bit. I think it is just really, really communicating the value of it. And you kind of brought up hot tax or hotel occupancy tax, and really sharing that, hey, it's net new revenue to the community. A lot of times they're not people from the area, and that is a good thing. It sustains the restaurants that we all know and love. It sustains so many things downtown that have been built over the years wouldn't exist without visitors and people coming from outside the area. So it is a quality of life thing, because it's a balance. Like, I want it for myself because I live here, but I also know that I alone can't sustain Water Street.
Right.
My paycheck, probably cannot sustain Water Street as much as my fiance would love to go there on a regular basis. But it is a critical piece.
Lucy catching strays. Come
I
on,
know.
give us
Hopefully she
some
never
mix.
listens to this. I love her a lot though too, so I'll add that little piece in there.
Nice save. Barely.
But yeah, that's I think that's the hard part.
Yeah, I was at Water Street the other night, and I was like, "There's a wait," and it annoyed me. But any big city, anywhere else you go, you're gonna wait at a good restaurant. But we get spoiled here. I know I get spoiled here, especially with places like Water Street. But that's the reality of it. And we are a tourist city. We have a lot of amazing things to offer, and I don't know. It is. You're right. It's a little bit of both. Definitely a little bit of both. Now, Brady, how long have you lived here in Corpus?
I came in 2019.
19. Okay. Right before COVID.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah, right in the fall. Welcomed into it.
And you've got kiddos?
2.
You have 2 kiddos.
Yeah.
How old are they?
8 and 5.
8 and 5. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're growing up in Corpus Christi.
100%. Yeah, they were 2.5 and yet to be born for my little girl. So she's a Corpus born.
And you mentioned earlier, are you originally from Illinois?
Originally from Illinois. Soon after college, I was doing a little coaching and learning my way through the business side, and ended up in Jacksonville, Florida for my first opportunity. And across 17 years, kind of worked my way down south through minor league sports, Daytona Beach, but then the tourist side at historic Dodgertown, where we had on-site hotels, conference center, and multi-sport fields, and then opened up West Palm Beach, our Astros and Washington National spring training facility. And that's where, between those last 2 stops, I really got introduced and shown firsthand to the impact of sports via tourism, because I was on a 160-acre facility that I operated, and I had time I had soccer fields on the south end that we could do lacrosse and football, and then I had 13 baseball fields on site. And, we were doing major national tournaments, seeing 12, 15, 20 states represented, on most weekends.
Easily on the weekend. But something about South Texas is working for y'all. You're raising a family here. Tell me, for you coming in from the outside, because there's a lot of people who are born and raised here, their perspectives are different, but you came in with a completely different perspective.
Sure.
You've been here for a few years now. What do you see in, not the potential, What do you see that's here right now?
For me, and maybe I was a little jaded too, coming from the parts of Florida I was, where in West Palm Beach, and I can say nice things about it as well, nobody was from there. And you could get a feel for that. Nobody traveled more than a couple exits north or south, it felt like, on I-95, and they wanted to stay in their own little bubble.
Stayed in your own pocket.
You've stayed in your own bubble,
okay.
Absolutely. And people are, honestly, they're just authentic, genuine here. You can go speak to some of the top CEOs, and it's generally, and probably because I represent the Hooks too, but it's an open door. They're welcoming, they're blue collar, yet the commerce, and again, whether it's refineries and oil or LNG and all these other things, people are extremely accomplished, extremely intelligent. They might drive an F-250 instead of a McLaren, as they did in West Palm Beach. So, it was that. But yeah, up and down, we ended up in a great neighborhood with great people up and down there. And then you find those pockets. I'm involved in sports, met great people, neighborhood, great people. And so that's kind of been the touch point throughout. And for me, probably the common bond to that is just Whataburger Field and the Hooks that seems to open doors just even into conversation, because everybody has a story to tell.
Everybody.
I think there was 11,000 people officially at the Roger Clemens 2006 rehab game, yet per the conversations, there was 30,000 people there, because everybody I've ever met was at that game. So, but there is a pride. Sometimes it's underlying, and wherever you live, some people are going to critique what they have and what's immediately out their front door first. But it goes back. There's opportunity here. There's room for development. I think there's want, and it's just getting the ducks in a row and not putting up our own red tape and self-inflicting these hurdles that has sort of been the history as I've come to understand it. Because I think the acceleration in the last 5 years, and again, the overlying WATER scenario, outside of that, there's been more movement in the last 5 years, it seems like, than 15 or 20 perhaps prior. So I think people are ready for it. The bridge is done. There's new opportunity coming, on the heels of that. So people are ready for it, and other places are doing it too. Portland's just blown up. Whether that's sports facilities,
their sports facility,
the commerce up and down the main, thoroughfares. So it's there to be had, and sometimes mix a little risk with some smart strategic thought, and hopefully we can see that just leap forward.
So we moved here in 2008, and we had littles. We had a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old at the time. I think I mentioned that. And there's an authenticity here that I absolutely love. The opportunity to move comes up, and I'm like, I really love the people here. So you're right. For all the talk that it's always going on about the opportunity, and there's so many great things that could happen. There's truth to that, right? But there's so many good things that are happening. And I think the people here is a testament to that. I absolutely agree with you, because I feel it too.
Yeah.
And I've made some lifelong friends here, professionally, personally, even walking into the Visit Corpus Christi board meeting. Like, I know that I'm going to walk in and I'm going to see you, and we can talk and we can,
Yeah.
And Adrian from Brady Corpus is there, and then we've got LaToya from Rose Soiree. We've got all these great people from the community that are invested, and there's a family feel to that, and I think that for me that goes a long way. And but Jason, I know you've been here at the college for
9 years.
9 years. So Jason was a young pup when I first met Jason. I also didn't have readers when you met me, and I have readers now.
I haven't even noticed. I didn't notice that you just had readers now.
I was also a young pup too, Jason. You just didn't notice.
I didn't wear contacts either, so.
But no, I really want to thank you both for coming on. First of all, for taking the time to come and sit with me here at Dream Street Studios, but also to talk about, I think this is a really important subject. And again, in a time of crisis, these conversations have to keep going on, and we have to keep moving forward. And I really appreciate that both of you are here in our community. And can we stay here as long as we can? Let's see.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us this morning. It was a great conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Viking Radio. This show is a production of Del Mar College.